Hey Ultra family, Justin Too here, your host today of the Ultra Cycling Show. Thanks for joining us for another sprint round race report. This time we're joined by a returning guest, the young stud Ryan Collins, who claimed the first place overall victory at the 12-hour US National Championships at the Maryland Endurance Challenge in May. It was a very competitive race this year, with 54 male participants and 12 females. Ryan clocked 265.30 miles, a cool 13 miles ahead of the second, third, and fourth place finishers. Well done, Ryan. Let's roll.
I'm doing very well. Thank you so much, Justin. It's really great to be back.
Huge congratulations. A super fast performance once again. Don't ever want to race you because I'll be put to shame.
Thank you. It was a great day, and I'm really glad and proud of my achievement. A lot of hard work and time went into the result, so hard work paid off.
Let's get started with the sprint round race report. It's a fun series of interesting questions where you'll be challenged to answer each one within a set time limit ranging from 15 seconds to 60 seconds. But don't worry, Ryan, you won't be disqualified for going over time, so let's get rolling with your very first question. You have 20 seconds. Who are you in a nutshell? Your name, age, location, and occupation.
I'm Ryan Collins, 26 years old from Annapolis, Maryland, and I'm an aspiring ultra endurance athlete.
Aspiring? That is quite the understatement, sir.
I think there's a lot of room for improvement, and I want to make waves to make it to the top.
All right, well, we'll be following your journey very closely. Describe the event with just one word for us.
I would describe the event by saying it was gratifying. For that hard work to pay off, to see everything come together.
Yeah, most definitely. So why did you choose to do this event?
So first, it was the national championship, so that was a big ringer and draw. But also, it was one of the first events that I could actually participate in, given the COVID environment. So it was a dual impact.
Wow, well, a fantastic result for your first race.
I know, right? What a way to start.
Well, you got first place, but how did you feel on a scale of 1 to 10?
Yeah, so leading up to the event, there was a lot of things that really challenged me mentally and physically. So I would say about a 7. While I put the time in, there was a lot of uncertainty of how I would actually perform, just given the rocky lead up to the event.
Wow. Well, at a 7 on the scale, getting first place, that's pretty good. I guess if you were a 10, you would have been 10 hours ahead of everyone.
Yeah.
Okay, so what was your actual goal versus the result of the first place, the distance that you covered, so on and so forth?
Going into these events, I don't typically look at distance or time off the bike or speed or power. It's just a placement. So my goal was to make it on the podium. And I did that. I achieved the top step, so I did make it on the top box, and I achieved my goal.
That's awesome. Yeah, definitely exceeded that goal. How much time did you spend off the saddle? Do you even know?
Yes. So a lot of unforeseen things happened. And so I was about 15 minutes or so off the saddle. Again, it's not by
Wow.
choice. It's just stuff happens.
Yeah, geez, 15 minutes. That's quite a lot for a 12-hour event, right?
It is a lot. It's not by choice.
Wow, yeah, but yet you were able to get first place by a pretty good margin, so that's amazing. Nicely done. So describe the course for us, Ryan. My understanding is that you do two different loops, right?
That's right. So there are 2 loops. There's a long loop and a short loop. The long loop is about 34 miles in length, and you do that 3 times before transitioning to the short loop, which is about 6 miles in length, and you loop until time is up. There's a significant amount of elevation, so the course is rolling. There's some short, steep, punchy
Wow.
hills on both the short and the long loop, and one longer climb on the long loop. Nothing too extravagant, but enough to keep it mentally interesting and on your toes the whole time.
Yeah, wow. I didn't expect it to have so much climbing. That is quite the challenge. So it's not an easy flat course at all. Now, do you know how many laps you ended up doing?
That's a good question. I'm actually not sure. I do not know the total amount of well, 3 long loops, but
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I think around 20 short loops. I don't remember the
Wow.
exact amount.
Yeah, it's always fun going around in circles.
Yeah.
Okay, so what time did you actually start the event?
We start at 8 a.m., although I would argue that the time the event actually started months in advance with all the preparation and planning that went into it.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so starting line was 8 a.m. for the race.
Yes.
That is a pretty good time compared to other events, either late at night or super early in the morning.
Yes. Yeah, it worked out. So I was able to sleep in, more so. And I was able to take a gradual approach to getting ready.
Nice. All right. Stress-free racing. So what was your average power and your max power? Do you have any idea about that?
No, I don't know. Again, unforeseen things happen. And well, when you choose what time to lose, replacing the power meter battery is, that's not really on the top priority list. So
Oh
we move on.
no. Well, great result. We'll geek out at your next results and data.
Yeah.
Okay, how about average speed? I guess you were probably able to compute that, or do you have the max speed at all?
Yeah, so the max speed was about 40, I think it was 40.2 miles an hour. And the average speed, I want to say, was 22.5. Um,
Holy cow. That is
I think that's
speedy.
about right. Yeah, like I said, there was
Nicely
a big
done.
hill and you go fast, so you got a fast speed going down.
Yeah, but even that average speed, that is a nice high speed. Many of us wish we could ride that for even just a few hours, maybe even just 1 hour. Okay, how about your cadence? Do you have an idea about your average and max there?
Yes, so my max cadence was 110, and I believe my average cadence was about around, we'll say 80, about 80 RPM.
Nice. Okay. How about your heart rate? Were you running a heart rate monitor?
I was. So fortunately, I had heart rate going. So I had an average of about 135, and I maxed out at 164.
All right. Interesting numbers. Okay, when it comes to food, how many calories did you burn? Do you know how many you ate?
Yes. So we tracked a lot during the event. According to the Garmin, I burned roughly 7,200 calories, and I consumed 4,300. So yeah, and
Yeah,
give or take a
nice
few.
deficit there. Sure, you were a bit hungry after the event.
Oh
Okay,
yeah.
during the race, how many toilet breaks did you end up taking?
Just one. I just had the need for one. It was a hot and humid day,
Wow.
and we tried to carefully monitor my nutrition. So everything going in and everything going out, we tried to, make it even keeled.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. Only one toilet break in 12 hours. I'm not sure that I've ever done that. I think I may have done two toilet breaks. How many sleep breaks did you take? Any? Any cat naps?
No, no cat naps. There's too much going on, too much excitement and and panicking. So no time to sleep.
Yeah, definitely. I guess the only thing that was sleeping was your power meter, right?
Yeah, it took the day off. I worked, it rested, so it was a good team.
Yeah, you ride a lot, so guess it's good for it to have a bit of a break. Okay, so how did your speed profile look like throughout the event from the start to the end?
It was very interesting, to say the least. I would say the speed started off, well, it was pretty much neutral in the grand scheme of things. Lots of stopping, of course, due to the issues that I had. But in the end, my speed picked up. I had my fastest speed and times in the last 2 hours of the event. So in the home stretch, I was able to pick up the speed pretty significantly and chop several minutes off of my short loop times.
That's incredible. Great skill set to have, finishing strong.
Mhm.
Okay, so which bicycle or bicycles did you use for this race?
I was only on one bike, and that was my BMC Time Machine, my time trial bike. I've spent a lot of
Oh,
time on the bike, and it feels like just an extension of my body.
that's awesome. Yeah, we've seen that before. It is a speedy machine.
Yes, it is.
Okay, so what gearing does it have on it? Is it what you usually have in your training and everything like that, or did you change anything for this event?
I didn't change anything for the event. I was on a 54/42 front chainring and then an 11/28 in the rear. It just seems to be a combo that works, and it was just something that I was used to. I knew that it was perfect for the elevation, and it performed.
Yeah, definitely did. Nicely done. Good setup. Okay, how about your tires? What size were you using and what tire pressure were you running them at?
So I had a 25 in the front and a 25 in the rear, and I had both tires inflated to 80 psi.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's a bit on the low side. I like running mine a bit on the higher end, about 100. So 80, is that what you're usually using even during training?
Actually, yeah. So working with Envy, they're one of my sponsors. They've come out with recommendations for their athletes, and working closely with
Hmm.
them, they've come out with recommendations for how I should proceed with racing, based on the rolling resistance, contact with the ground, and also comfort. So over time, with an endurance event, the more sensations or stimuli that you get through rough pavement can ultimately fatigue your arms, your body. So there's a fine
Hmm.
balance between give in the tire to make sure that you're absorbing some impact, but also that it's substantial enough that you're not losing power. So trying to find that right balance has taken some time, but 80 is where I see most benefit.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'll have to try it. I mean, okay, to be honest, I have ridden at 80. That's usually after a week or so when I haven't pumped up my tires and I'm too lazy to.
Okay, so I'm running tubeless. I
Okay.
used to run at 100 psi, and now I'm with the wider internal bead of the rim. I'm now on 80. It just seems to have a more solid contact, and when I go up to 100, the ride is more harsh,
Hmm.
and I think there's loss in speed for when I'm at a higher psi.
Yeah, very
It's
fascinating.
almost like driving a sports car, right? You get more of like a road feel. So sometimes there's a perceived effort of going faster, but from the actual speed, it seems that 80 seems to, for me at least, based on my weight and the wheels that I'm on, seems to be the best option.
Yeah, that's really cool. Thanks for sharing that and for the science lesson, Ryan.
Yeah,
How many sets of clothing did you use for this event?
just one. I raced in one skin suit and stayed on the whole time.
Nice. All right. Glad to hear it stayed on.
Yeah.
What was your overall race strategy?
So it's interesting how things change. The race strategy, the goal again was to get on the podium by whatever means necessary. But as the day progressed and I quickly lost contact with the main group, it was to catch back on or catch the leader and make sure that I kept them within eyesight for the finish.
Wow. All right, so after all the setbacks, you were actually chasing them down. When did you end up catching them?
I want to say I caught them at hour 6. At hour 6, I caught and then passed, and after that was on my own.
Hmm. Now, is drafting allowed in this race?
Yes, drafting was allowed. It was permitted. And then, yeah, so I had the option, but I went on my way.
All right, so in the lead group, how many people were there when you were chasing them down?
That's a good question. There were so interesting dynamics that were taking place. There were the top four were in the lead group, but then they were also joined by two additional. So there was about 6 in that lead group that I was chasing down. Again, it
Hmm.
goes back to how many short loops you can complete. So um, one or two people had waited after they completed the long loop to catch the lead group, and so they had a group of 6 going when I was chasing them.
Oh, fascinating. Wow. All right, so you had quite the chase there.
Yeah.
Amazing that you were
Yes.
able to do what you did. You are speedy. Okay, so what did you use for nutrition? Tell us about your snacks and your food and your hydration.
So I've been using Scratch Labs for quite a few years now, and it's just something that seems to be agreeable with me. So I made rice cakes going into the event. The rice is easy. You can throw anything in there if you want sweet or savory. So that seems to check all the boxes. And then you've got the Scratch drink mix, which just is hydrating and it works.
Yeah, that's right. So we've done an episode with you before. For those who haven't seen it yet, definitely go check it out. Now, I'm really curious, were there any cannolis in your back pockets?
I wish. No cannoli today or during the event. But you can count on it that after the event, when I came home, there were cannoli in the fridge. So we celebrated
Nice.
just a few hours after the event.
Oh, that's awesome. Great way to celebrate. Okay, so who was your support crew? Who was out there helping you out, cheering you on?
Yes, the team, mom and dad. They're
Nice.
the OG support crew. They've always been there for me, and it's just so nice to have them. With they can take my heat. In the heat of the moment, you're yelling like I need a bottle. So I can always yell at them, and they understand it's all in a loving way. So, but they also know me. Like they know at certain times I'm going to need certain things, and if I say I need a bar, they know what that means. It could be sweet, savory. They get it, and so they're always there for me.
Well, I can definitely relate with that. Thank you to our parents. Now, bonus question. Will they be joining you one day on your solo RAM attempt?
Trick question because they'd probably be the ones to talk me out of doing solo ram. So I'm not crazy enough to do it yet. But let's just say that if I ever get the bug and I do race solo, they will be there. I know that they will support me in whatever endeavors I pursue.
Nice. All right. Well, we'll look forward to it. Thanks, Mom and Dad. Okay, what was the most difficult segment of this race for you?
The most difficult segment was all mental. After all the setbacks, it was staying calm and finding a way to get back into the race. It's a 12-hour race, and after 6 hours, and your handlebar falls off, it's you still have 6 hours left to go. Like the race isn't over, and I'm not done yet. But just staying calm, and it's a time trial, so don't blow your guns out just to catch on, just to stay cool and calm and to proceed forward.
Wow, that takes a lot of experience. Well done. Okay, most boring segment.
The most boring segment. I wouldn't say there was a boring segment. There was so much again with the elevation changing. There were always things happening, and then with the mechanicals that I had, always more things happening. And then they had a 6 hour race and a 3 hour race going off at the same time, or staggered throughout the day as well. So there were always new racers who were entering or riding around. So there was a lot of stimuli to keep you focused.
Huh.
So I don't. There was nothing boring about the day.
Yeah, definitely doesn't sound like it. Okay, so what was the most enjoyable segment for you? There were a lot of setbacks, unexpected things. What did you
Yes,
enjoy?
so a lot of setbacks. They were not enjoyable. Coming back from them were, but on the course, on the short course, there's a stretch of road. It's about a mile long, and
Hmm.
on the particular day, there was a slight tailwind. It was a light breeze, so it was nice and cool. But also it was a slight downhill, so you got a lot of speed, and it was just relatively calm and cool. It wasn't too windy. Very easy just to tuck in and go, and that was fun.
Yeah, that sounds really enjoyable. Thanks for sharing that experience with us. All right, what kept you motivated, especially with the setbacks?
You put in so much time, training. You have so much support, people cheering you on. It's that support network, the coaching, the timing, like the training that you've done, everything that's gone in to create this event or to get you ready. That's has set, that journey has set in my mind. Like that's what motivated me to go. When times get tough, you think about how you did things similar in training or harder in training. The people that are cheering you on who may not be there with you, that's what kept me fueled on the road.
A lot of reasons to keep going. That's excellent. Okay, so tell us about the unexpected situations. You kind of mentioned them. Why don't you just elaborate on exactly what happened?
Yeah, so lots of things. Silly things. So of course, a drop chain happens like once in a million years, but of course it happened on the event, so not a big deal. It just wasn't one that I could save, so that's minor. Again, I said earlier, my handlebar fell off. There
Wow.
were just I don't know. I think the road vibration, or there was a set of railroad tracks that we hit. I knew they were
Hmm.
there. I just hit them at an awkward angle. I was trying to avoid a bottle that someone else discharged, and I just think that hitting my pad on the wrong angle, that caused the bars to just loosen and they came off. So that was a fix that needed to get taken care of. And on a time trial bike, attaching a handlebar isn't easy. So that was another one. Let's see, I ripped the water bottle cage I had on my bike. I ripped that off.
Wow.
I guess I don't know my own strength. So that
Yeah.
was another issue. And then when I was trying to figure out how to carry my water bottles because they came off my bike, I also was shifting at the wrong time and I dropped my chain again twice. It wasn't intentional. It was clearly the wrong time to shift when you're going over potholes. And what else are you going to do when you have big water bottles in your hand and you're trying to balance them on the time trial of the ski bar extensions? What else can I add? I have a storage box on the back of my bike. And again, going over the same railroad tracks, I hit them and I ejected my cell phone out of the box.
Oh
So,
no.
if I eject a water bottle, not a big deal. But if I eject a cell phone, I'm going to have to stop to get it. So, those were just a few of the things that happened. Just a lot of things that shouldn't have happened, but they just did. It was that once in a blue moon occurrence, but like times 10.
Yeah, sounds like it. If just one of those happened to me, I would have been so frustrated. So just well done on keeping your cool like you were talking about
Yeah.
earlier and
It just
pacing
got
your
to the
way
point,
back
like,
up to
what
the
the
lead
next
group.
thing happened? And I was like, well, how else could it get worse? Like, what's next?
Yeah, that's insane. Well, definitely one for the history books, especially with the first place victory. Didn't come easy, and I guess it never does. So well
Yeah.
done there, Ryan. Okay, so what lessons did you learn then? Anything that you would change for the next time around?
So, from a personal perspective, looking at the nutrition, how many bottles of scratch do I mix in the right concentration? I didn't anticipate the heat and the humidity and how much I would actually need. I think it was in the 90s for temperature wise, which isn't terrible. It's just it was the first time that we had experienced 90 degrees in months. Prior to that day, everything was in the mid to upper 60s, low 70s. So it was a big jump.
Mm.
And so just getting your body used to that wasn't an option. So not knowing how much I would actually need and consume was different. So now we have a sweat calculator and we've figured out kind of what I'm going to need and then nutrition wise. So there's that. But also from the mental perspective, the lessons learned, stuff happens and you just need to
Mm.
keep calm and move forward and don't discount yourself. You're in it to win it. And you just got to put your head down and get the work done.
Yeah, a lot of great things to take away from there. And it seems like just with life in general, there's a never-ending journey of learning and improving. It's
They say
sometimes
life is like
frustrating,
riding a
but
bicycle, requires balance.
yeah, that's so true. Okay, so how long did it take you to recover from the race? Were there any injuries?
So there were no injuries as a direct result of the race. And it took about a week or so. I was just very cautious. So again, I mentioned earlier, I had a strain on my legs before I went into the race. I had an accident before I was racing, which caused a lot of discomfort, if you will, in my knees, of all things. So that ultimately impacted my race and how I performed. But also just to make sure that I was fine thereafter, we just kept it easy for the following week to ensure that any micro tears or injuries were mitigated and we could proceed forward with training after that.
All right. Well, glad to hear that everything is going okay and you're getting ready for your next one, I'm sure.
Yes.
Okay. So, what tips do you have for others who are interested in participating in this specific race?
So at face value, a lot of people will say that cycling is a sport with strength. It requires, endurance. You have to have a physically fit body, and that's all true. But it's not all legs. The other part, the other
Mm,
muscle, is your mind, your brain. You have to have the right mentality and focus on that mental strength, that mental toughness. There's going to be times where racing is going to suck. Challenges are going to come up, but you need that mental fortitude to proceed forward.
yeah, that's so true. Very true, very true. That'll take you a long way.
Mhm.
Okay, so what is your next event or race? What's coming up for you?
I'm looking forward to racing this August at the Mid Atlantic 1224. That'll be my next 12-hour event and give us more
Wow.
opportunity to train or rather race in the heat. I always heard here it's a hot one, so the heat and the humidity will
Hmm.
be fun to play with. But for me, it's a new course. I've never been here and I've never raced, so hopefully, new competition and a new race.
Sounds cool. Do you have a particular goal other than just podiuming? Maybe a certain
No,
distance?
anything could happen on the day. At just want to perform my best. I think it's a learning opportunity to see how I'll perform in the heat and the humidity. Yeah, no goals, just to go and put my head down and put on a good show.
Yeah, that sounds good. Looking forward to hearing about it. One other bonus question along those lines. Do you have
Mhm.
a lifetime goal for a certain distance that you can cover in 12 hours?
I do. Eventually, I'll have to target a 12-hour, and I'd like to proceed or challenge myself to hit at least 300 miles in 12 hours. That would be the
Oh,
goal.
that sounds
It's
good.
been done before. Um,
Hmm.
I would just like to do it myself.
All right. Well, we look forward to celebrating that achievement, Ryan.
Me too.
Okay. Is there anything else that you'd like to share with the ultracycling community who's watching?
I'm really curious. So, as I mentioned, I want to race to the top. I want to become a premier endurance athlete. But I
Hmm.
don't know what that means. There's a lot of different paths that people have taken. There's the race across America. There are numerous world records that people have achieved. But it's interesting to see how others define the ultra endurance athlete or how one makes it to the top. Um, and so that's something that I've been trying to find myself, to trying to figure out what the path is, what is the next race, what is the next accomplishment, the next challenge, what do I want to pursue, and so I don't know if it's necessarily a share with the community. It's more of an ask, and I'm just curious to see what everyone else thinks and what their thoughts are on how to race to the top. Nothing.
One of the exciting things I would say is that the World Ultra Cycling Association, or WUCA as many know it as, and there's a very active Facebook group discussing all things ultra cycling. Of course, I'm also on the board of directors. And one thing
Mm-hmm.
that we do have is the World Championships and also a whole series of events along those lines. So at least there is some definition of ultra cycling achievement. And of
Mm-hmm.
course, over time, we hope to make that much more accessible and increase the participation in those events all around the world. So that way it can make it really exciting and fun for super fast guys like you. And of course, someone like me will just be a fan.
Oh, when I look
And
forward to having the day to where I can share a race course with you, or even if we can just go on a ride together, that would make my day.
yeah, I look forward to that. And who knows, maybe it will be in a 12-hour event one day, and I'll
Yeah.
be drafting you. I will only sign up for a drafting 12-hour event, and I'll
That
see
would be
how long I could stick on your wheel. How about that?
that would be a lot of fun.
Cool, Ryan. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to share your experiences with us at the 12-hour national championships. Well done and congratulations on your first place victory. I can't wait to hear all about your next race and to keep following your journey. You're only 26 years old. That means you have a long journey ahead of you of many more achievements, records, and the likes. So well done. Take care and best wishes. Tailwinds for everything else that you do in the near future, Ryan.
Thank you so much, Justin. It was a pleasure to be on the show with you. So thank you.
Yeah, definitely. And for everyone watching at home, thanks for tuning in. I hope Ryan has given you some inspiration. Definitely sign up for a 12-hour event and give him a run for his money, or at the very least, a fun story to share. Until next episode, everyone, keep spinning ultra.